Teofimo Andrés López doesn't just box, he detonates. Awkward, unpredictable, dangerous. In a sport built on timing and technique, Teofimo breaks every rule and still find a way to detonate. With a mouth as sharp as his punches and confidence louder than a Vegas slot floor, Teofimo made himself impossible to ignore. He's not here to blend in. He's here to knock you out and talk trash while you hit the floor. They laughed at his wild style until they hit the canvas. They doubted his skills until they tasted his power. Now, they can't stop watching because love him or hate him, Teofimo is the show. WBO Junior welterweight champion. Cruising down the Vegas Strip in a candy-red Lamborghini, iced out chains catching neon lights. He lives fast, fights harder, and cashes every check with swagger. Designer fits, private jets, millions in the bank. From wild interviews to walk-off knockouts, he turned controversy into currency and swagger into superstardom. So before we dive into the rise, the roar, and the raw energy of Teofimo Lopez, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And hey, if you're looking for a custom website or software solution that hits just as hard, follow the link in the description and let DesiTech Consultancy bring your digital vision to life. This isn't just another boxing story. It's the wild ride of the sport's most unpredictable superstar. And trust us, you won't want to miss the next round. Teofimo Andrés López Rivera was born in Brooklyn on July 30th, 1997. A fire forged from the fierce love of Honduran immigrants and the relentless ambition of a father who saw a champion before the world even knew his name. His father, Teofimo Sr., had crossed borders and hardships to give his son a chance. And from the moment those tiny fists were wrapped at age 6, childhood gave way to destiny. Teofimo wasn't bred for normal. He was trained for Takeover. By the time he stepped into the 2016 Olympic Games, carrying the flag of Honduras with quiet pride, few knew what was coming. But the storm was building. Footwork like a dancer, power like a heavyweight, swagger like a man who'd already seen the future and liked what he saw. And then came 2020. Vasiliy Lomachenko, a name that echoed through boxing circles like a warning bell. Untouchable, unbeaten, unquestioned, until Teofimo Lopez tore the myth apart round by round, silencing critics and stealing the night in one of the greatest upsets in recent boxing history. The world watched in disbelief as the kid from Brooklyn dethroned king. That was just the beginning. From demolishing Diego Magdaleno with a chilling knockout to outclassing Arnold Barboza Jr. under the lights of Times Square, Teofimo has built a reel of highlights that hit as hard as his punches. Titles stacked, WBO, The Ring, Unified Lightweight, and Lineal in 2 weight classes. And the rewards? They came pouring in. An estimated net worth of $5 million by 2025, fueled by championship purses, sponsorships with giants like Disney and Coca-Cola, smart real estate investments, and the birth of his own empire, Takeover Promotions Incorporated. But behind the belts, the bravado, and the flash, another question lingers in the silence between rounds. Is Teofimo Lopez chasing greatness or something even deeper? For Teofimo Lopez, the climb didn't begin in front of the cameras or under the bright lights. It began in the shadows, fighting not just opponents, but expectations, doubters, and a system that didn't seem built for him. He won the U.S. Olympic trials, but it didn't matter. Carlos Balderas had already locked in Team USA's only lightweight slot. So Lopez pivoted, not with bitterness, but with the raw instincts of someone who refused to be sidelined. He would carry the flag of Honduras, his parents' homeland, to the 2016 Olympic Games in Rio. It was the kind of compromise that breaks some spirits. But for Teofimo, it was just another closed door he planned to blow off its hinges. In Rio, he went toe-to-toe with France's Sofiane Oumiha, the man who would go on to win silver. Lopez lost, but the world saw flashes. Power, precision, a fire in his eyes. And just months later, in October 2016, he signed with Top Rank and made his pro debut on the undercard of Manny Pacquiao versus Jesse Vargas. One fight in, and he was already dancing near legends. 10 fights, 10 wins. Then came Mason Menard in December 2018, a seasoned vet with a chin built to last. It didn't matter. Teofimo's right hand ended it in 44 seconds, and suddenly the kid from Brooklyn wasn't just a prospect. He was a headline waiting to happen. The knockouts piled up. Diego Magdaleno down. Adis Tatley down. Each one wasn't just a victory, it was a message. Lopez wasn't here to learn slowly. He was here to take over. Fans cheered. Critics whispered, was it too much too soon? Then came the test. Masayoshi Nakatani, undefeated, awkward, and ranked number 3 by the IBF. It wasn't pretty. Lopez went the full 12 rounds for the first time. No knockout, no fireworks. But when the final bell rang, he had his hand raised and a shot at the IBF title in sight. December 14th, 2019, Richard Cummey, the reigning IBF champion, stood across the ring at Madison Square Garden. 2 rounds. That's all Lopez needed. One right hand ended it, sending Cummey to the canvas like a puppet with its strings cut. Suddenly, he wasn't just a contender. He was a world champion. And across the ring, waiting patiently for his turn, stood the next challenge, Vasiliy Lomachenko. Lomachenko wasn't just a champion. He was a myth. 2-time Olympic gold medalist. 3-division world champion. A puzzle no one had solved. And Teofimo? He was just 23 years old, a kid with power and swagger. They said he was too young, too raw, too reckless. He heard it all, and he didn't care. October 17th, 2020. No crowd, no excuses. In the silence of a pandemic-stricken arena, Lopez fought the fight of his life. For 7 rounds, he stayed behind his jab, dug to the body, and made Lomachenko look human. When the Ukrainian finally opened up, Lopez didn't break. In the final round, he threw 98 punches and landed 50. More than anyone had ever landed on Lomachenko in a single round. When the scores were read, it was official. He had done what most thought impossible. He beat the unbeatable. The world was stunned. The kid from Brooklyn was now the unified lightweight champion of the world. But with the crown came chaos. He refused Lomachenko a rematch. He didn't put a rematch clause in the contract, Teofimo said. So why should I give him one now? Bold words, but they carried weight. The boxing world was split. Some called him undisputed. Others said the WBC franchise belt he held wasn't legitimate. Devin Haney, the WBC champion, called it a paper claim. Still, Lopez moved forward. He was scheduled to defend his unified titles against George Kambosos Jr. in June 2021, but delays and disputes followed. COVID-19 struck. Then came the venue chaos, a legal mess between promoters. Finally, on November 27, 2021, they met. Lopez entered the ring as a 13-1 favorite. But the underdog had other plans. Kambosos dropped Lopez in the first. Lopez dropped him in the 10th. But by the end, the air had shifted. The judges delivered a split decision. And just like that, Teofimo Lopez was no longer undefeated. He didn't crumble. He moved up. August 13th, 2022. A new division, a new beginning. Against Pedro Campa, Lopez reintroduced himself with a 7th-round TKO. But when he faced Sandor Martin that December, the fight was tighter. A clash of heads broke his nose. He was knocked down. He won barely. But backstage, cameras caught a moment of raw honesty. "Do I still got it?" he asked his team. The answer came 6 months later. June 10th, 2023. Lopez faced undefeated WBO and ring champion Josh Taylor at 140 pounds. This wasn't just about belts. It was about identity. And when the bell rang, Lopez delivered a masterclass. Aggressive, technical, and relentless. He won by unanimous decision, becoming a 2-division world champion. 2 days later, in a move that shocked fans and pundits, Lopez announced his retirement. But legends don't walk away that easy. February 8th, 2024. He returned and defended his WBO title against Jermaine Ortiz in Las Vegas. Another win. Then came Steve Claggett in June. Miami, another decision, another strap secured. Then the announcement, Subriel Matias, March 2025. Another war, another defense. But it was his latest clash, May 2nd, 2025, under the lights of Times Square, that silenced all whispers. Lopez faced interim champ Arnold Barboza Jr., a hungry contender looking to seize the throne. They battled for 12 rounds. But Lopez, more composed than ever, outboxed Barboza with a mix of elite defense and pinpoint counters. Now 3-0 at junior welterweight, Lopez sits atop the mountain again. But the landscape is shifting. Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia. The whispers are growing. The tension is thick. He's conquered kings and silenced critics. But in boxing, you're only as good as your next war. Inside the ring, he fights with fire, relentless, explosive, unshakable. But outside the ropes, his battles have been quieter, more personal, and far more painful. Because no matter how many belts he's lifted or opponents he's dropped, life has a way of testing a man in ways the gym never prepared him for. It started on an ordinary Delta flight, New York to Las Vegas. Fresh off his 9th pro win, Lopez was riding high, just another undefeated name on the rise. But then he saw her, Cynthia, a Nicaraguan flight attendant with a warm smile and grounded presence, caught his eye. It was the kind of chance meeting that only feels random until fate proves it wasn't. Conversation turned into connection. Connection turned into love. By April 2019, they were married. The world saw the fighter, but Cynthia saw the man, gentle, ambitious, still finding his place in it all. They honeymooned in Greece, wrapped in sunsets and hope. For once, Lopez wasn't chasing victory. He had already found it. But love, like boxing, isn't just about moments. It's about endurance. And over time, cracks began to show. On November 16th, 2021, their son, Teofimo Lopez III, was born. It should have been the perfect chapter. Instead, the pressure outside the ring, the fame, the expectations, the strain, started weighing heavier than any opponent ever had. By 2023, Cynthia filed for divorce. Lopez, who had once danced through the toughest fighters, suddenly found himself battling loneliness, fatherhood from a distance, and the silence of an empty home. Yet from that pain came purpose. He poured himself into more than just training. He built Takeover Promotions Incorporated, invested in tequila, real estate, and brand partnerships, building a financial fortress where once there was just a fighter's purse. He began speaking out about the dark truths of boxing's business side, advocating for independence and smarter decisions. Because maybe, after all the glory, the knockouts, and the heartbreak, the real fight was never just in the ring. He had the belts, the glory, and the scars to prove it. But when the noise of the crowd faded and the bright lights dimmed, Teofimo Lopez craved something more than applause. He wanted stability. Tucked away in the quiet suburb of Jonesboro, Arkansas, is the home Lopez built not just with money, but with vision. During its construction, he gave fans a glimpse inside. A movie room for escape, a man cave for solitude, a mini gym to stay sharp, and even a private boxing space to keep his edge. It wasn't just a house, it was a fortress, a symbol that despite the chaos of fame and the brutality of the ring, he could still create peace on his own terms. Outside his home, his success takes the form of steel and speed. A Rolls-Royce Ghost glides through the streets. A $300,000 statement of arrival. Parked beside it, a Mercedes AMG hums with power, while a Tesla Model X waits with its falcon wing doors spread like a spaceship ready for takeoff. There's also a Range Rover Sport for rugged terrain and a Hyundai Genesis. Humble, practical, but still worthy of a champ. But here's the twist. Lopez isn't just about flash. While most fighters bask in bling and blow their purses on excess, Lopez plays the long game. He's not drowning in jewelry or partying with entourages. His real investments are smarter, in property, in his own promotional company, and in brands like One with Life Organic Tequila. It's not just lifestyle, it's legacy planning. He's living proof that a fighter can be both lethal and level-headed, that you can taste luxury without letting it swallow you. Teofimo Lopez isn't just fighting opponents anymore. He's fighting for longevity, freedom, and control over his narrative. But even with all he's built and all he's earned, one question lingers. Can Teofimo Lopez find lasting peace in a world that never stops pushing him to war? Before you go, don't miss out on exclusive perks. Click the link in the description to become a channel member and enjoy awesome benefits, like suggesting future video topics, getting early access to new content 48 hours before anyone else, and much more. Your support means the world and helps us keep bringing you the stories you love. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe for more amazing content. And while you're here, why not check out our deep dive into Rolando Romero's video? Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.